are stealing between 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion shillings a year. Governor Mutua, before he left being governor in Machakos, he approves a pending bill of 966 million to be paid to 2 legal firms. What legal work did those 2 firms do? Then what do? You make him a minister. How Nanok, the governor who is now a status controller, how much he has actually messed up his people. Where a foundation is done to do the governor's house at 260 million shillings. The foundation, $2.5 million. Is that normal?
Emenda.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning?
Here's what you missed.
Which actually offered them the Adanis. This company has a better reputation. This company has done also from India. I don't know why the 2 companies were coming from India. But the reality is that the one which was cheaper and which was more professional, which was kicked out because Adani was a deal. Adani was an arrangement where, in fact, Jeff, I do believe that money has exchanged hands, and I also do believe that there are certain agreements which are signed, only that I don't know which ones. So I don't know whether they had finished the meetings. That is why I have asked for them to give me the minutes. There was a board meeting on a Sunday 3 weeks ago. At night, all the board members met at that night. So I want them to give me the minutes of what they discussed at that night. And because there is the board side sits and there are minutes, they are then deposed in a special tracking sheet. So those are the details I want to be given, so that then we can know what the truth is.
And if they fail to submit them?
If they fail, then we look at the other legal route that we can use to demand by force, through either going to court, getting court orders and everything. I hope the judiciary will give us what we'll need, so that we go to the bottom of this issue. Nobody said that we don't need a new airport. Nobody said that Nairobi Jomo Kenyatta Airport cannot be refurbished. Nobody said that is the war. That's not those are not the issues we are raising. We are raising, give us the integrity and the transparency, so that you tell Kenyans what the deal is, how much you've negotiated for, and by God's grace, the Constitution says the stakeholders should have held public hearings on this matter. Those views, I want them on the report, which made you make the decision that you're actually going to give this work to Adani. If you have not given it, then I would say hallelujah and please stop it. Why? Because in 2018 there was another committee in the National Assembly which did the same thing, 2019, and they were trying actually to look for a way on how they could bring a company. That is how Greenfields came in. What stopped Greenfields from continuing was when that committee made a recommendation that Kenya must never, under the PPP program, lease out or even allow a foreign entity to own its airports, because it borders on national security and intelligence. So when did we stop that report of 2019 and changed it? Which was, once a report has been recommended on the House, it's a legal document. Now, for you to circumvent it, you then must have to go and rethink, reconsider, and reboot. What has happened is that the public said, and including all the experts who are analyzing that matter, at that time, they stopped the KAA from getting a PPP program, and that's how it ended. So why did these people, all right, bring back this whole deal? It's because the terms of money that is involved is incredible. The amount of money that people are stealing and people are taking, Jeff, it's actually enough for us to fix our country. It's not magic. I mean, we are stealing between 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion shillings a year. That's the money we are taking off the kitty, and it's not a joke. And I can sit here, Jeff, and narrate for you. I can take a budget line and I'll tell you, Jeff, I'll ask you, I asked this on another show the other day. I said, we allocated 217 billion shillings last year to what? To construct tarmac roads. Did we do even 5 kilometers anywhere in Kenya? The money has been paid.
Wow.
Money has been paid. All right, I can go to the Ministry of Health. I mean, what does the Ministry of Health handle? You're talking about Kenyatta National, you're talking about the KU hospital, KTRHLD. I think there are about 5, and Coast General. I think Coast General, there are about 5 or 6. Health. If the government allocated 5 billion shillings to these 5, it will be 25 billion. Why are we allocating the Ministry of Health 75 billion shillings? If you look at from 1963 up to until when Mzee Kenyatta passed, there was always friction, what was happening between the president and his deputy. Then come to the Moi time. Moi had issues with Karanja, with Saitoti and Kalonzo, no, with whoever. There was a dispute. You look at the involvement of Raila, that's when Raila is joining him. That is when things are happening. Moi wants Uhuru, Moi loses, Kibaki comes in. Kibaki has got an agreement with Raila, then you move next, Uhuru comes in as president. And you think Kibaki and Raila were an accident. No. Immediately Uhuru and William have started their government, they start fighting. They break up. William picks that and runs with it and becomes president. Who does he pick? Gachagua. Yeah. Does William last more than 2 years? No. It's the politics that has made our system to become dysfunctional, because politicians want, and they have opened up the gates to raise money, which then they fight over, and this is the largesse most of them want to keep in anticipation of the coming elections. So the stealing begins immediately after elections are done. And that is for the purpose of putting resources together for the elections coming. It is never about policy. Gachagua and William are not fighting over policy. They are not. Uhuru didn't fight with William Ruto over policy.
No.
Of course, later Uhuru started raising the issue that, no, I think you guys are becoming too corrupt and everything. The truth, Jeff, is that is when the system broke. Now, once the political system is broken, it is now very easy to manipulate and to break down the financials. So we started breaking out the money out of the central kitty. We now, agriculture is targeted basically where people are going to make money. Where we are going to buy fertilizer, then we sell it, then we do, you go there. Then agriculture becomes, what do you do with the National Cereals and Produce Board? You first of all kill it. All the money that they are supposed to use to buy the seed is first of all taken by politicians. How? The politicians bring their maize. The maize is bought at a higher price, which those who are in government utilize to pay themselves from the National Agricultural Cereals Reserve Fund. Then you can go to the Ministry of Water. They know how much money we are getting from donors. They then plan where this money is going to go out. They then, in fact, don't even make sure the work is done. Because, Jeff, you hardly would see how many pipes have been laid on the ground most of the time. We can put the main line, but the peripheral lines for reticulation, those ones will eat. Then you will move from there, go to the Ministry of Education. We give the Ministry of Education 623 billion shillings. The amount of money that we are paying for salaries is 271. So 271, round it up to about 300. 300 minus 630, you're talking about 330. Yeah. Jeff, how can you have 330 billion shillings? And meanwhile, you have to give the governor, his deputy, the president, his deputy, the president's wife, president's relatives, the MP's wife, the MCA, all of them have a kitty for bursary, which is 70 billion shillings, which is shared. If you see the audit reports, how much money is stolen from that kitty, you want to blow up. So if you take that 70 billion plus the 330 we are left, that is 400 billion shillings. You can take every primary school kid who finishes class 7 or 6, you can finish junior secondary and finish with them. You can go to secondary and finish, and you can take all the children in Kenya to university with free education, where you give them hostels and food and medical treatment and very good professors who are paid well.
For that 400B.
For that 400B. Where does the money go? It's eaten. That's why men fight. And then you know we have a government printer. And then you see the government printer is the one who historically is supposed to have printed books for schools and everything, so that then you don't have to spend excessive money for that. Now private companies, which are owned by the top boys in the ministries, especially for education, they're the ones who print books. Some of them print books which are wrong, which are out of the syllabus, because some of them find those are the ones which some traders have got left. And when these books are delivered to our secondary schools, the principal can't talk, or else he's transferred. And then you see the system then runs like that, and we don't have a list of how many students in fact we have, and we do capitation. Who are you capitating to? If you don't have the data and the numbers, it's deliberate. Those numbers, you'll never get them. Why? Because that's how the money is siphoned off from that 632 billion I was talking about.
Senator, is the system that rotten?
The system is broken. So to me, when my party leader Raila was negotiating with William to get cabinet ministers, even when that doesn't bother me, what bothers me is, what are we fixing? What does he talk to William about? That is why the elections are always rigged. Why can't we have just a simple, open election? Let the best person win. Why must Kenyans fight over an election? And yet democracy allows you to win or to lose.
Interests.
Interests, yeah. So those are the interests that don't want the election to be free. Those are the interests that are looking at Jeff. If you look at the history of our country, we got oil, which we were preparing so that this oil was going to help our country. What happens? Your elites, the rich boys, go to Turkana, they go and buy all the blocks of that oil where it is. So as Tulo comes and they are going to mine that oil, they are supposed to give the Turkana county 25% of that. Then these guys come and tell Tulo, but Tulo, we are the owners of this land. We also want 25%. What does Tulo do? It falls and walks away.
Rolls, yeah.
Walks away.
Walks away. The reason why I'm raising these issues actually is purely for civic education. If the government is not able to understand that these resources are for other people and not theirs, and these resources must be shared equitably, fairly, and reasonably, and the government's role is just to make sure that there is prudence and integrity. What they do after that, nobody cares.
Is that what made you foresee the rebellion that came the other day from the
Absolutely. How can you sit in Nairobi and you look, Jeff, at KCC, and somebody has advertised to employ 400 people and 10,000 people show up? If that doesn't alarm you, then you're a fool. Why? Because these kids have grown. These are the kids who are born in this dysfunctional system. We don't know who has finished university when, who was ahead of the other. You are throwing your kids out. We don't have a system that accommodates them. When we are employing people, we employ our relatives, friends, and those we know. What happens to a child who's born in a poor home in some place in Kisii called Kyogoro, and he doesn't have a mother and a father, and this is an orphan? But he's a first-class student. Why can't we adopt a system of meritocracy? There are people who graduated as teachers in 2014, 2015. They have never been employed permanently. But somebody who graduated last year because his uncle knows somebody at TSC and knows a cousin who knows the senator like me. Senator, unaweza kunitafutia nafasi moja kuna mtoto moja. I say, let me call. Those are the positions you see being sold in political rallies. With MPs saying, mimi naweza kuandika watu watatu hapa, inua mkono. How can you have a system that runs like that? And we say we are educated and we go to school. there's something wrong. The system is broken. So my argument is, what I want leader Raila to do and William Ruto, let us fix the system. The issue we are dealing with is no longer political. It is not. The issue we are dealing with is fix the financials of the country. And the issue, the problem, the dysfunctionality of our people is that we have become either immoral or amoral.
But Gen Zs are insisting that we let them down.
Absolutely. I mean, Jeff, Askaris, a police officer earns 22,000 shillings. Then you take this individual and you house him in a tin house, a 1 QB. In that 1 QB, next room, which doesn't even have a petition or a cover, is his friend. So you have two families which are sharing a house, which is basically dilapidated, and you're treating this. I mean, why do we treat our people so badly that way? Why do we criminalize our people? We are criminalizing our country. We are taking young kids, both boys and girls. Look at the way we treat our girls. If they don't come from a rich family, what happens? She goes to university and goes and they live in the slums, that they are staying in hostels because they have to pay 2,000 shillings a month. Jeff, I went to University of Nairobi. I lived in a hostel. Food was available in the morning. I had a three-course meal. I used to shower with hot water. Is that too much to ask? To do hostels for our kids? In fact, that's why I always say, what is this affordable housing thing that William Ruto is? Go and build hostels where all your universities are. They will pay for themselves. Why? Those kids will pay for them. They'll be paying for them. The amount of money we have got in the Ministry of Education, we can afford to give every child going to university 100,000 shillings a year. Right now, what are we saying? That somebody who's a student, who is an A student, who's going to do medicine, must come to the university 1.5 million. Which country discards its best? How can you do that? There's no country that doesn't pay the doctors, for doctors to go to school, whatever the figure. Because they'll pay it later. You can negotiate with him and he pays in the next 20, 30 years. But we are throwing our best brains. What are we saying? Let this kid, if he can get us a ticket and go to Canada, why does he have to come be here in Kenya to give services? Everything we do is upside down. Whether it is our sports, we are stealing money. We know how much the sports fund is collected. They don't have less than 16 billion shillings. Where is it? Are we doing sports talent? I mean, Jeff, everything is leaking, but guys are quiet. Yeah. Everybody's quiet.
We don't even have stadia that can hold international events.
Absolutely.
We don't.
And we have money at the sports fund.
And even when money is allocated, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Now, what do you do with a country like that? Do you dismantle the whole network? You call a public, you bring a people's conference, and people will give you, they'll tell you what to do with this corruption thing. We stop the nonsense. We can even bring back, let me say this, Jeff, and I am completely against the death penalty. But under the circumstances, bring it back. That is the reason, that is the only way people will have deterrence, so that people fear to fiddle with public funds. Number two, we must have a platform where all government money, as it comes out, it goes out one route. If government money comes, nobody sits, the only thing they do is to sit there and pump in the password to allow the transaction, because he's the officer online. But they will never reverse a transaction. It goes all the way, pays everybody. All employees in the Republic of Kenya should be on what is called IPPPD, whereby everybody has an ID which is linked onto his birth certificate. It's linked to his age, to his area where he comes from. That is in the system.
What is it about here?
Yes.
The greed factor.
Yes. We used to eat 10%. Then slowly we moved in the 70s. We started 5. Those days I was very young. When people saw you having a big house, they would wonder, they would be talking. Huyu anajenga hii nyumba, anatoa pesa wapi? Huyu ana magari mbili. Na sisi tumestruggle, magari yetu moja. Then we softened and started looking at this modern life. Then the leadership, which is supposed to be guarding against abuse in management of public resources, abuse in human rights, and this team that previously are people of high ideals and high integrity ended up realizing that those things are superficial. Then they noticed and they believe, I don't believe so, Jeff. I've been elected now for more than 20 years. I hardly spent more than 20 million shillings to get elected, which is still for me a very high figure. And yet, right now, there are members of parliament who spend between 50 and 100 million to get elected into the House.
MPs?
Yes. So when somebody spends his 50 million to get elected into the National Assembly, what do you want him to do when he gets CDF?
It's going to make up for it.
What does he do when he's given money for roads?
He has to recoup.
That is why I'm saying collapse CDF, collapse KERA, collapse KURA, take that money to the county governments, let the government allow money to be devolved to the functions which we should have done 10 years ago. 50% remains in the counties, 50% remains with the national government. And I know, please, I've heard people say how the governors are thieves and everything. My argument is this: devolve the money to the ground. We will now Gen Z the governors at the ground. The reason why we are having a problem in the city, even with these Gen Zs, most of them are moving into the city because we are not doing anything at the rural areas.
And they felt it a bit during the recent protests.
Yes.
Governors felt the heat.
Absolutely.
Because some of them were almost even out of office.
Yeah. So the governors now have to realize, and this is why I say, Jeff, anybody who blames these kids that they are either violent and stupid, no. They've changed this country. I know my friends right now in the National Assembly and the Senate there, we are so scared to drive the big cars we used to have. Guys have moved down to Axio. Is that in Subaru Outback? That is the level of sophistication and civic education we must do. Let us, and I've told the Gen Zs, try your level best. Don't be violent, because the greatest minds in the world, the Martin Luther Kings, the Mahatma Gandhis, the Nehrus, using nonviolence actually changed the cause of humanity. So my argument is, what these kids have done, and for me, the most painful thing is the information we're getting that even right now kids are being abducted, and most of these kids being killed are the ones who actually were coordinating this the Gen Z protests. If that is true, then I would want to plead with William Ruto. Please tell your people to stop doing that.
Senator, there's very few of you are very outspoken when it comes to this.
Yes.
Question is, do you fear for your life sometimes? Do you fear? Because
absolutely, Jeff.
You're putting your neck out there.
Jeff, I absolutely do, but I'm careful. I know how to move around. I have a few things that I do. I mean, I don't want to be a martyr. I don't deserve to be a martyr. But I think it is necessary for some of us to be saying, no, this you can't do. This one you can't do. This, don't do. Because we are, Jeff, my fear is that we are slowly and successfully turning a country that has its ethos, that it has the Kenyan dream, that it had the fairness, that we believed in excellence, we did meritocracy, where you expect that if a child has gone to Alliance, or one child has gone to Mangu and another one is coming from Maseno School, and there's another one, I remember when we used to go, during my days, Shanzu High School in Mombasa was really famous. That is the dream. You compete at that level. But right now, Jeff, I don't know whether my son who goes to Alliance, somebody's going to try and figure out how to get them a leaked exam so that he can get straight A's. SGR, which most Kenyans believe that, in fact, if anything, by now we have nearly fully paid for it. The company that did SGR is in the London High Court suing the Kenyan government for an extra 300 billion shillings.
Why?
That was what was written in the agreement.
The same amount that was almost...
That was almost the same that was used to build the railway.
So we're paying twice.
So the question becomes, who signed that agreement? Why can't we interrogate this agreement? Why can't we put this individual to task?
Don't we have technocrats and experts in these ministries who scrutinize all these agreements and advise the parties that are concerned that this is not favorable?
The first thing you do is that those are the people you bribe. So the report they write for you has to favor what I want as a contractor, and if I'm Adani, that's what you do for me first. Then you take the money, spread it out to members of parliament if they are going to have a problem. If today you are going to appoint a minister from the CSS, which is supposed to be vetted by tomorrow, if the guy was going to be vetted and is from the Ministry of Transport, you figure out who he is, you check with his wife or family, you make sure that you raise enough money for that guy to be vetted in that National Assembly so that he becomes a minister who then is going to implement what you have.
To what end, Bona Senator?
Your country is actually slowly ending up becoming a banana republic.
Now, Jeremiah Karaoke indicates here, Honorable Senator deserves a space in the Hall of Fame for the heroes of the nation. Hope that the Adani deal is defeated. And is also asking, is the Honorable Senator thinking of running for presidency to right the wrongs? Can he negotiate with Gen Zs to push for the righting of the wrongs in the system? Jeremiah Karaoke is his name. And then another Bazenga here indicates, say hi to Richard. He saved my life when I was 6 years old. Oh. I had been hit by thunder. He rushed me to hospital with my late uncle, Seth Adagala.
Adagala.
Yes, yes.
I'm Onyonka Simame for president. And make sure you take his number.
Wow.
Jeff, let me say this. I don't want to go that route. The reason is I am not doing this because I want to be elected president. I am...
You're convicted.
I'm in a very funny space. How do I explain this? Sometimes in life you get to a spot and you are like, what am I doing? I mean, Jeff, let me put it this way. I have kids and I ask myself, what am I leaving them behind? What happens if I die today? And one became a police officer. Should his salary be 16,000? So you give him house allowance of 2,500, he gets 21. Do you expect him then to do his job? I mean, why are we lying to each other? We are pretending that we are taking our children to go to early childhood centers at the county governments. And yet, chances are, you'll find that in some of those classes, they don't even have chairs. They don't even have teachers. The teachers are never paid on time. All right? We don't appreciate our teachers. We are having constant wars with them. We have a war with our doctors. We are, you know, the dysfunctionality to me is so intense that you need people with high levels of integrity and credibility to sit down and lock those gaps and close down the avenues where the money is being stolen from.
Do we have such in the country?
I believe yes, you can get. There are people of good mind. There are people who mean well for our country. They wouldn't even want you to pay them to do that. I mean, the person who completely changed my life is a Kenyan, who works with the IMF and World Bank. We met in Tanzania when we went for a conference, and he blew my mind up. He told me, Onyonka, you people are coming here. You sit here discussing policy. Oh, if we are going to increase the taxes, then we are going to do this and that. That will enable farmers to do this. Give farmers fertilizers, which are subsidized. And in fact, after that, you just need the government to negotiate well, using dollar accounts and everything. Then you can get your oil being... No. The man told me the problem in Kenya is not taxation, is expenditure. You people are stealing the money. Every policy you put down is reversed to open the gates so that the money is cleared out. You are the people who do. I mean, I have documents, Jeff, in my phone here. I'll show them once we are off air, where somebody has sent me how a former minister who President Ruto fired, got a duty-free facility of bringing in motorbikes into the country, and the figure was how much? 2.9 billion. When I went to check with the people, like friends of mine who work at KRA, he told me that's just one. In a year, you can have 200 to 400 such cases. So if somebody has got a duty-free facility of 2.6 billion and he has got 200 exemptions, that's 200 times 200, that is 400 billion shillings. If today you wanted to ask me to tell you, do we know how much money we are collecting from the port of Mombasa? Have we put systems into place? In Mombasa, systems only work after money is been shared and nobody raises a complaint, from the teamsters to the workers to everybody is on the take. The reality is that many people will tell you, including the IMF and World Bank, at one time there was a report, they said the port of Mombasa can be able to generate close to 45 billion shillings a month. Not a year.
A month.
A month.
And right now it's doing what?
Maybe 12, maybe 16. I haven't checked lately.
Senator, despite the doom and gloom,
yes,
is there hope?
Yes. I mean, I'm not here to say we are now conducting the wake because we are going to bury our country. My feeling is that there are people, some of us are talking, I really give credit to Sifuna, Umtata, Kajwang. I mean, people, I can tell you, Cherargei, these are my heroes. These are people, don't think we don't talk these things. Slowly people are beginning to say, Onyonka, yes, pedal, put your leg on the pedal, put it there, don't move out. We are coming. We have to stop this nonsense. We have to stop lying to our people. We go and get sugar exemptions. We bring sugar into the country. We are lying to the people of Mumias, Chemelil, Trans Nzoia Sugar, Kisumu, Kibos, Muhoroni, and Sony, that in fact they can go growing the sugar and they continue and money will come from there. And then we bring, like I've said before, 2-3 million tons, metric tons of duty-free sugar. So what do? Once the sugar has come, they will wait and they'll bring it when they know the factories don't have so much volume. And usually they say the factories are doing maintenance and cleanup and everything. They now bring that sugar, they sell it to those factories. So you buy sugar which was brought in duty-free in a cover of Mumia sugar.
They repackage. And yet it's from Brazil.
It's from Brazil. Some of it is from Angola, some of it is from Tanzania. Tell me, how do you run a country like that? It can't run. It gets to a place, it will stop.
So grind to a halt.
Yes. So the reason why it didn't stop is that President William Ruto thought, and he was lied to, that now what you do, increase your taxes. Kenya's problem is no taxes.
At the end of the day, what do you tell the Gen Z, Senator?
Keep up the good work. Learn as much as you can. You've done Kenya proud. I think they have to deal with the political issues now. Because Gen Z is not in a utopian field. They are part of this country. You can see that Raila has joined the presidency, which I disagree with. The reason is that what do I do now? Do I say William Ruto's government is excellent? And in fact, the issues that I was raising are not legitimate. Those are the issues that I'm going to discuss, whether it's a broad-based or coalition government that is going to come together. In fact, the members of ODM who are taking over those positions, we have told them, and I want to tell them that they are the most that I will be looking at and making sure they perform. We have no space and no room for them to continue with this nonsense that has been going on. I expect John Badi to reintroduce free education. We can sit and tell him where the money is. I mean, you saw Jeff the other day. How can a governor spend 25 million shillings to buy flowers during Madaraka Day? And we go to a hospital as a Senate Committee of Devolution. We are trying to see why is devolution failing, because governors are stealing half the money.
We have devolved corruption.
We have devolved corruption. All right? Even when you expect some things to be so basic.
Yeah.
I mean, what is wrong with buying a bed which is 20 all 15,000 shillings with a mattress for an old lady who's having backache? Why is that sexy for you to see them lying on the floor? And it's normal 60 years after independence?
In Kiambu, 10 billion shillings lost, according to the papers today.
Disappeared.
Tell me.
10 billion over.
What? And then when we go to ESCC and we are telling them, we are making, you know, people, I see people saying, oh, you know, you senators, I saw the MPs talking about it. I think, Jesus, sometimes we really get upset that senators, you don't know what you're doing. That report yesterday of Wamatangi, I was in that report with Kinajuang, with Senator Methu, with the team. Have you ever had anybody pronounce that amount? No, we did. It is the Senate that is telling you that your money is gone.
What normally happens when you probe all these things, even when Kajwang was putting the other governor on the spot of 1 million shillings for soda. What normally happens after those?
We like recommendation for these people to be we want to use due process. We don't want to be a kangaroo outfit. If we accuse Jeff and say, Jeff, you have, like the other day I was saying, I mean, I was asking in a meeting, Governor Mutua, before he left being governor in Machakos, he approves a pending bill of 966 million to be paid to 2 legal firms. What legal work did those 2 firms do? Then what do? You make him a minister. How many times have we pronounced ourselves from Turkana, how Nanok, the governor who is now a status controller, how much he has actually messed up his people? Where a foundation is done to do the governor's house at 260 million shillings. The foundation, $2.5 million. Is that normal? And we can't do anything about it? Is it okay that when we are asking ESCC to follow up on these matters so that we even have deterrence, Jeff, so that people can fear? And nothing happens. Those guys immediately, all governors, that is why, Jeff, you're making me say so much. All governors have organized to have what we call financial gatekeepers. Those are the people who, anytime a story comes out, first of all, they access the Auditor General's office. That is why you hear me tell you all the time, I have never met 2 most incredibly strong, wonderful women. Nancy and Madam Nyakango. Those women are the ones who have made it for your, can I use this term, Jeff, for your cowshed not to be completely swept out with the animals living with the ndamas and everything. You will wake up in the morning and find there's nothing. So they recruit individuals who then check out whether our reports have been adverse or not. If they realize we have mentioned and made recommendation for ESCC to start interrogating them, they will then check with the regional area of ESCC and tell him kuna ujinga inakuja hapo, sasa wewe utakuja tuongee. Then money exchanges with briefcases, and they will hold meetings, and you'll be told, oh, by the way, this guy has collected 2 million, they've left. And it goes on in each and every region of our country. That is what I'm saying. Unless we decide that we are going to be a law-abiding people who believe in fairness and equity, who believe in the higher ideals, stop the petty thievery, because we believe in primitive accumulation. 1 car is never enough, neither are 3. A house that is 4 bedroom or 3 isn't good enough. We must build one which is 26 bedroom. That is the mindset that has crawled into Kenyan public. Why? Because the Kenyan public, especially majority of our people are not able because of the poverty. So they depend on handouts. So those handouts are brought after being stolen from our CDF, from our Kura, our Kera, from our bursaries and everything. Then the voter is bribed the 200 shillings for them now to vote for this individual who is stealing their money, and then they elect this person. So the cycle continues, and then the leader who's been elected, his job is just go and gatekeep, make sure when the committees are coming, if we are impeaching Kawira Mwangaza, who is bringing how much, what is the figure. The some will tell you the boss has said tukule 500, some money is exchanged in the toilets at the Senate and the National Assembly, and if you're a good boy, you'll be given trips through Parliament to travel the world, where you'll be paid between 6 and 8 million shillings a year for traveling the world.
We are destined for doom, Senator.
No, good people have to say, we stop this shit. This shit has to stop, Jeff. Yeah, has to stop. Otherwise, hamna nchi. Mimi nimesema, let somebody come and say what I've said is not true.
Imeenda.
Ma'am, see, I'm saying the truth. See, I'm saying the truth. Yeah.
In our room.
Yes, and then the police officers who are on the highway that you're blaming for doing nothing, and yes, they are collecting bribes. Oh yes, so many. Oh, in fact, there are hundreds, 200 and everything. They have been given a figure that must be released to the big boys.
A target.
A target.
On a daily
basis. There's a county target, there's a sub-county target, there's a ward target. What country are you guys creating? And then you want to destroy it, and then now you have a government that is not going to have order, and you are going to make sure that then the country breaks down, and then you bring in groups that are going to be part of militias, and then after that you are going to now have the tribalism, the animal in the house splits up this country, and then everybody will be saying, you know what, yes, this is my territory, don't come here, I'm gonna mess you up. Before we get there, Gen Zs have stopped us. So my honest feeling, let's fix it. It's fixable though. Yeah.